people because we rely on a lot of... there's a difference between having a conversation with someone over the phone and a conversation that I'm having to you face to face. Like, I respect you enough to be able to like show my face to you and have that dialogue. I can read your emotions, I can see facial cues, I can have a conversation with you today and recognise you tomorrow.
I agree.
But if you were wearing a full face burqa, I wouldn't be able to recognise you tomorrow.
I agree.
I wouldn't be able to know you so well. So
I agree.
I was wondering if you really think that the burqa is fit in UK society. Like, should it be? Is it acceptable that we live in a society where some people are allowed to conceal their identity at all times?
I think the question can be posed differently. My question is, are women allowed to wear what they desire to wear, what they want to wear? Is the primary question we need to address.
Because like, they couldn't be naked, they couldn't wear no clothes because that's against the law.
I'm talking about wearing, not taking off. Taking off, there are laws there, of course. Even those laws.
Couldn't wear a T-shirt that had child pornography on it. Could they?
Right. I agree. I agree. Anything that has the potential to put other people's lives in danger, or anything that has the potential to cause harm to the society, should not be allowed. I agree.
But do you not think the burqa is harmful to society?
No. When did it become harmful? When?
I mean, it's a barrier to integration.
No, the question is, when did it become harmful? Muslims have been in Britain for the last century.
Well,
over 100 years. Muslim communities have flourished in Britain for over 100 years, and many of them wore burqa. When did burqa become a problem?
Well, I would say from the first day that somebody wore one.
No. Where is the evidence for that?
Well,
bring news reports. Bring the news reports from the 90s. From the 90s. Forget about 1950s or 60s or 30s. I'm saying bring news reports from the 90s where people are making an issue about it.
Well, that's because there wasn't many people wearing burqas. But
no,
now it's
that's
become
not true.
Like a bigger issue.
In the 90s, there were over 1 million Muslims in Britain.
You think
and
in
I
the
would
90s,
say out
there was the same amount of people wearing burqas in Britain as there are today? That's
not necessarily, but there was a considerable amount of Muslims.
Even if there was less, it still would have been a problem. Because
I'm saying there were over 1 million Muslims in the 90s in Britain. Out of those million, I would say few thousand would be wearing burqa.
Yeah.
Why was it not a problem then?
Just because it's only a few thousand, or even if it's one person, if you're concealing your identity at all times, that is a barrier to integration, right? You need to have that.
I see your point. My question is, when did this become a problem in Britain?
I would say from the moment somebody first put.
Where's the evidence for that?
Well, I don't know what evidence you would want that would be
evidence of someone making noise about it. Oh, we don't like burqas.
Well, a lot of people
burqa should be banned in Britain.
Well,
these women should be.
It's quite a controversial position to take, and not a lot of people would. It wouldn't be promoted in the media.
So we can only talk about it when we find evidence, right? Without evidence, it's all.
Well, you can use reason and logic to come to the conclusion.
Reason and logic needs substance. Do you agree?
Yeah, it does.
So I'm talking about substance.
Do you not accept the argument that the full face veil covering is
That's a completely separate discussion, and I can agree with you there. That to some people, veil can be intimidating. Veil can be unacceptable to some people. To others, it is a religious obligation. The question now is, Britain being a tolerant country, a country that championed liberalism, a country that went through a bloody history in the past 1,000 years, and in the 18th century, philosophers increasingly wrote on liberty and tolerance, tolerating other people's views, and Britain had championed that. That's why hundreds of thousands of people moved into Britain, because of the tolerance and the liberty people enjoyed in Britain.
Yeah.
And now that tolerance is slowly fading away in political circles, not among the masses. The masses are still lovely people, beautiful people, tolerant people, generous people. There are politicians and there are uneducated, illiterate, underprivileged people who have a problem with burqa. Either people who are against burqa are highly educated, or those who are not educated at all. The middle class doesn't have a problem. The people in the middle, they don't have a problem.
I'm curious to know why you feel like you can speak on behalf of the middle class.
Because I know the statistics. I know the statistics.
What statistics have you looked at?
How many people do you think would want the burqa banned? Do you have statistics?
I don't have statistics on that.
Okay. And until then the assumption is people don't want it banned.
No,
if
not
people,
necessarily,
no,
because, like,
not
how
enough
often
people.
do
Wait,
people get
not
the
enough.
opportunity
The
to
assumption is
express?
not enough people want it banned. Why is child abuse banned? Why is animal abuse banned? Why is anything else for that matter banned? Which is bad for the society, because enough people want it banned, right?
Yeah, but
right.
also what you've got
In
to,
Britain, fortunately, that's not the case yet.
What you have to acknowledge is that politicians will put through policy that they know will make them look good, and if they suggest or put on the table a policy like what they've done in France, and they say, should we ban full face veil coverings, that would be very controversial, and it wouldn't be strategically advantageous to put forward that policy as a politician.
Okay.
Therefore, it's
Would
not
you
something that's
argue
likely to go on the
argue the same thing for someone who has tattoos all over his face? Tattoos. This, you can't see the face. It's like dark
where it's
green
all black,
on the face, like Maori people.
But I mean, I can still see their facial expressions.
No,
and
you
stuff,
can't.
And I can
Not in
recognize-
What about dark sunglasses?
Yeah,
The gentleman here, I can't see what he feels towards me.
yeah, but I could
can't
still,
see him.
if I saw him today,
you can
had a
see-
conversation-
That's you, but a lot of people wouldn't. Just
Okay.
like, again,
No.
with a person with a
Come on,
face
let's
veil.
be
No,
reasonable,
I'll be reasonable. A person with a face veil, you can see the eyes, right? Can you see
Not
the eyes?
always. Some people have the
Okay,
veil.
I'm talking about the ones with the face veil, yeah?
Yeah, but even if it's just
can see the eyes.
I won't necessarily remember something.
No,
just
fine,
from
fine.
eyes.
You don't feel comfortable with it. That's your personal
Well,
opinion.
I'm not saying that I don't feel comfortable with it. I'm just saying that is a barrier to integration, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's not. It is a barrier possibly to assimilation, but not integration. Women with niqab, with burqa, or even the veil have been integrated in Britain in all walks of life. There are teachers, there are people working in the administration of this country, there are people who are, doing a number of different jobs. Now it has become a problem. Since 2001, after September the 11th, since 9/11, young men like you have been heavily influenced by media campaign against vulnerable women who are actually being attacked by racist, thuggish, unfortunate individuals who are taking their frustration out by attacking these women.
Yeah.
Right? And these women are exercising their right in a free society to wear what they like to wear, so long as they do not impinge upon someone else's freedom, or they do not impinge upon someone else's well-being. So a woman wearing burqa, how is she harming you?
Well, I would say that she's basically not offering me the same level of respect that I'm offering her.
That's your opinion.
Because
That, to others, that's not the case. So because it's your opinion.
But essentially she's, I know it's religiously motivated.
Yes.
But she's like saying that there is a what's the justification for wearing the burqa? Like, let me know what the justification.
It's completely irrelevant to our discussion.
No, but like it is, because somebody's intentions for why they behave is the way
They wear
do.
it for religious reasons.
Yeah, but what is the religious reason?
To cover your beauty.
To cover your beauty.
Yeah, women
Why
should
would
cover
they-
their beauty so that they are protected
But what would they need to be protected from?
from a number of different threats.
Yeah. but
For example,
the
I'll give you
assumption
an
is that
example.
I'm a threat, but so I'm
I'll give you an
afforded the
example.
right
In
to be able to-
Scotland, once upon a time, not very long ago, a campaign was being run that women should not go out on weekends dressed revealingly.
Yeah.
Dressed revealingly. Why? Because they get attacked increasingly by men who are out to have a party, right?
Yeah.
This is a fact. This is a fact. And the same logic is applied by, I mean, if you want the logic behind it, human logic, that's the logic. That the purpose of covering is protection, right?
Okay. Here's an interesting thing to consider. Do you think Muslim
Sorry? Modesty, protection, piety.
Was it for assimilation or was it for modesty?
Assimilation is not the question we're discussing here. We're discussing integration. Integration and assimilation are two different things. Assimilation means becoming one with others, right? That's impossible. That's impossible. Can the English people assimilate into the Saudi society when they work in Saudi Arabia? Can they be expected to become Saudis? No, that would be unfair.
No, but is there no such thing as integration without becoming the other person? Whereas you can work together in a cohesive society.
Integration, in my opinion, means respecting other people's right to live by their own principles, so long as those principles do not impinge upon other people's.
Side by side each other.
Yes, absolutely.
Integration, in my opinion.
Absolutely. No, talk to each other, converse with each other, mix with each other. No,
Becoming the other.
but do I have to go to pub to integrate? Do I have to go and sit and have a pint to integrate? No. I can have a chat with John or Tom or Gary. I can have a chat with them. I can talk to them. I can talk about...
Practicing your religion for free in a country which is not necessarily your religion. That would be, you know, a comfortable level of integration.
And what is that?
What do you mean?
Being able to practice your religion?
Practicing in a free country, yeah.
Yes, and this is what I'm arguing for, that everyone should be allowed. Sorry?
Are we not already allowed to practice our religion?
Yes, but some people are arguing that some people should not be allowed to practice their religion, i.e. Muslims. Muslims cannot be allowed to practice their religion.
No, the argument was that I'm suggesting that a lot of people have a problem with full face veil coverings for a number of different reasons. The argument that Adnan is suggesting is that it's religiously motivated, and the religious motivations is that it protects them from threats. Is that correct?
It is simply the logic behind it as a Muslim, okay, is God commands it, we obey.
Okay.
Muslims believe in God.
Yeah.
They're not a godless people. They believe God exists, and they have a firm conviction that God exists. It is God who made the universe. Therefore, He deserves our obedience for creating the universe and putting us here.
So
Now that,
Christians.
so when God commands X, Y, or Z, we obey, because that's God. We can't say, no God, we're not going to obey, right? We obey. God tells us, cover your beauties. Oh, believing women, cover your beauties, right? Oh, believing men, lower your gazes. Do not gaze upon women with lust. Do not. That's what the Quran commands. What's wrong with that?
And
What's wrong with that?
Why would men need to lower their gaze, and why would women need to cover their beauty?
Because God commands it.
But God uses reasoning and justification. He uses logic and reason.
For us Muslims, that's enough. But if you want to understand the wisdom behind it, what may be the wisdom, my mind tells me that when people look, men are visual. Most customers for porn are men. Pornography is the biggest selling item on the net. The largest amount of searches on Google are what? Porn. Who is searching? Men. What are they searching? Particular bits of women. There are certain bits of women that stimulate most men, unless there is some strange pervert who likes the toes or the knees or the nails. You know, generally speaking, men generally they are searching the same things, right? It is those things God wants us to cover, because those things are the ones that stimulate men into doing things that are not legal. For example, rape is a big problem. I'm not saying rape is caused because of looking. Don't get me wrong, because some people jump to conclusions. I'm saying that rape is a reality in our societies, unfortunately. More so in the West, because it is recorded. We know how many rapes are taking place. And they have reached a pandemic level in Britain.
To cure that, it wouldn't be for women to cover up.
No, not necessarily. No. One of the solutions, one of the preventions is not, according to me, in Scotland, not very long ago, I gave an example earlier, that they were running an ad on TV in Scotland that women, when they go out on the weekend, should not dress too revealingly. Too revealingly. Why? Because they are likely to get abused like that on weekends. Most rapes in this country.
Also be advertising men should control their animalistic.
Absolutely. Thank you. This is exactly what the Quran says. You men, look down. Don't look at the bits. Yes? And women, try not to expose your bits for them to look at them. You understand?
The argument is essentially that the burqa offers a level of protection, right?
No, that's not the ultimate reason. It is a number of things. Okay? That's the rationality of it. If you want me to rationalize it, I would be able to do it that way. But for us as Muslims, we simply obey God's command.
Okay, but
right?
Us as non-Muslims, we can't just accept the argument that it's God's command. We have to understand the reasons behind it.
I agree.
So if you're saying it's protection, my question then is, do you think that women wearing the full face veil are experiencing less, like do you think that if they removed their full face veil, they'd experience less attacks than if they had them on?
Absolutely.
Because I think that the ones who are wearing the full face veil are actually attacked.
Let me give you an example.
The ones who aren't.
Don't believe me.
It's
Don't
a
believe me.
contradictory argument.
Don't believe me. There was a social experiment done in the US. It's on YouTube. Okay, and just put hijab social experiment.
Yeah.
Hijab social experiment. There was a lady they chose, and she was a beautiful lady, evidently beautiful, and she was put on this Muslim clothing on her, hijab and what we call jilbab, the loose dress. And she walked the streets of New York, and hardly anyone whistled or passed remarks or comments. Same video, same woman, they took off the hijab, and she was in a tight t-shirt, a tight jean, her figure was showing, and they filmed her. The person filming was in front, so that people don't know this is being filmed. Every single person, nearly every single person, either whistled, passed a remark, or said something sexual to that woman. This experiment, I mean, well, you don't need Islam and Muslims to explain this. This is a socially accepted reality. Women who are revealingly dressed are more likely to be approached by other men. Women who are dressed in a religious setting or in a religious clothing, how many of you will actually go and try it on a nun? It's a question. How many of you, men, I'm asking men, if you saw a nun with beads in her hand, with a cross hanging from her, and she's dressed in a nun's suit, how many of you will actually go and say, can I have your number? Hey, sweetie, right? Will you whistle? No, you're not going to do that. But if you see a woman in a very tight clothing, right? Obviously, you know what I'm talking about. I don't have to go in details, right? So this is my argument. Socially speaking, it is well established that women who dress revealingly are more likely to be approached by men. Hence, they are more likely to be touched, abused. Did you know?
I mean, last point.
Single her out. Last point.
She's not wearing anything revealing, but she's not covering her face.
Yes.
And like it's like just because you expose your face, that doesn't mean that you're being revealing. Like your face is like still very modest.
I agree.
So like you can still be very modest and have your face.
Now that I have explained the rationality behind it, that's the rationality. You can accept it, you can reject it. The question is now, if women want to cover themselves out of modesty, out of rationality, out of religiosity, are they allowed to do so in a liberal society? Should they be allowed to do so in a liberal society? Okay, if they are not allowed to do so, is that society truly liberal? Is the question.
Well, the thing is you've got to consider is like how far can you tolerate certain things? So you can't. You've got to have one rule for all and not one rule for some and
that's
one
communism.
Rule for others.
That's communism.
Well,
that's not liberalism.
Not necessarily, but when it comes to your identity and how you interact and function in society, if I went around with a face mask all the time, or if there was like a group of individuals who went around with like hockey masks all the time, do you think that they should be banned, or do you think they should just be allowed to carry on?
If people
like with a full-on face hockey mask.
I'll give you a better example. Balaclavas. If people are walking around, no, they should not be allowed, because they do not have the reasons to wear those balaclavas. They can't. It's not part of the religion. They're wearing it possibly for some sinister reason, right?
Is it illegal, Max?
Yeah.
Is balaclava illegal?
No, it's not.
It's not illegal because you can wear a balaclava and walk around.
Yeah.
No, but that's a different question. That's a different question. But you would be intimidated. You would be intimidated if you saw. I agree, 100%, Max. I agree that if you saw someone in a balaclava, you would be intimidated. You would think if two people are standing there like that, looking at me in a balaclava, I would be. Hold on, let me find an exit route, right? I would be intimidated. But with religious women, like Jewish women, Muslim women, and Christian women, those who want to dress out of modesty, some go to extremes. Potentially, possibly, they want to cover their faces. Let them do it. It's their choice. They live in a liberal. If they're not complying with the law, then I have a problem. If the bus driver asks a woman to lift her veil so that he can see her, she should do it. At the airport, she has to do it. At the bank, she has to do it. A police officer or in the court, she's asked to lift her veil and identify herself. She has to do it. But otherwise, if she wants to hide her face and she wants to do it out of religiosity, then she should be allowed to do it as Jewish women do, as Christian women do. What's the problem?